Hi, Scott Orland with Cinema Magazine. There is a new film coming your way called Love You Anyway, and it's a very unique film, which we're going to get into in just a second. And I'm here with the writer and the director, Anna Matz, and the two stars of the film, Rain Edwards and Charlie Gillespie. So thank you guys so much for being here. Anna, let's start with you. When people start watching this movie, it is not something that maybe they're going to expect. You're using a very unique technique, and that is everything is from the viewpoint of a cell phone or a video camera as you're telling the story. Talk about what you're hoping to achieve or what perspective you wanted to give by doing it that way.
Yeah, I think the perspective I always saw it was that intimacy, and even to the point of like voyeurism, where it feels so familiar. Like it's like you're watching your own home videos. It's that sort of familiarity, which I think will create a sort of empathy into a lot of these situations that are both of the characters go through that are pretty universal, or I think that a lot of people can relate to. And so, like, by going through all these different mediums, one, it was a cool storytelling challenge of finding the legitimacy of these moments. Because a lot of found footage style movies, there's always that scene where all the people are talking, and you're like, why is this getting recorded? Like, there's no reason, but it's because that exposition needs to happen. And so it's like, okay, well, how do you find these moments and these plot turns organically through what any of us would have on our camera roll or on our home video? And so I think through the lens of our own cameras, you just get that much more personal with the characters, especially because most of the time they're talking straight to the camera, or they're talking to the person holding the camera, which creates some really chilling and really funny moments too.
And for Rain and Charlie, you are of a generation that basically grew up in front of a lens. I mean, that you have had the either the ability of your parents or family shooting you on video camera or the cell phone. So, how acclimated were you to that, having that camera in front of you all the time or being testimonial?
I think it was pretty simple. It was pretty comfortable. We all, like you said, we grew up with it. So putting an iPhone in our hand to record a scene wasn't really that like difficult. It was actually pretty fun to get to experience that as an actor because we have a camera in our faces in a different way that way, but to experience it as if we're just at home was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, bringing like you say like growing up with obviously video cameras and being on a camera recorder all the way through iPhone, like it was kind of fun to be able to just put that style on on the film. It made it a little more personal because it made it feel a little more like it was coming out of your back pocket when you filmed it. Now there was times where like our DP would want to be holding it and you were like pretending you were holding it, and that like we started off a bit like that, but then after a while I was like, can I just can I just hold it? Like I just feel like it already is a selfie mode. I won't move around too much, but it still is like a video camera. So what if I like held it and moved around and everyone was like super game? So then so there was a balance still between the two. Like we were still working with a team of filmmakers and not just like working with our hands and our phone, but at the same time we still get to work a little more like hands-on with it too, which is kind of cool.
I mean, being totally transparent, I think it takes me 12 days to clean out my refrigerator. You guys
Yeah,
shot a movie in 12 days. So, talk a little bit about the creative challenge of 12 days to make a movie.
fast. Very fast.
And keep in mind, we shot this in October of 2020, and that was when like the industry as a large was just really figuring out how do we shoot safely with COVID. And so in addition to 12 days, there was also a lot of challenges and slowdowns with just the COVID protocol of it all. I really would give it up to these two guys for being such pros on set. There's a lot of monologues in this movie because they're all one takes if you're going to be organically found footage, right? And some of them are very emotional. And so we would, talk through the turns and get into the character's head. And as a director, it was so amazing to be able to walk into a couple of these pivotal scenes, like scenes where I'm like, if this scene doesn't work, the movie doesn't work. And both of them had one scene like that. And to be able to walk in and know they've got it, I just have to create the space for them to do what they need to do and to figure it out internally. And then I think both of them was like 2, 3 takes of like full like monologues, and they nailed it. And that was crucial to staying on time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun doing that, like getting to do every scene on like that one take kind of system. Once you had it done, you moved on to the other thing. So that obviously helped us with the 12 days. The fact that every scene we just had one shot to get it all done. Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's been 2020. It's been so freaking long since we filmed this thing.
Yeah, and Anna, I give it up to Anna too, because her efficiency is out of this world. Like once we finished, we always knew exactly what we were about to go into, talked about it as things were getting set up. She was a great leader in that sense of just making sure that everything ran really smoothly. We had a great crew, and Charlie's a blast to work with too. Like we just had a fun like crew and cast.
Watching this movie, I mean, obviously it's a piece of entertainment, but it also delves into youthful anxiety. It dealt into the competition of how you navigate through everything. And I thought a creative way, an outlet, was music. That was kind of therapy for, especially for Rain's character. And I know Charlie, with Julie and the Phantoms, music has been an integral part of your life too. So I want both of you could kind of talk a little bit about how therapeutic is music for you.
Oh, super therapeutic. I think with music, what I've always loved about songs is that it gets out the words that you've always wanted to say, but couldn't really put together like talking. So it creates this space of being able to, that's what I loved about playing Mackenzie too, is getting to see her release those things for herself. And you see her progression also in her music and her songwriting as the movie goes and as she progresses and gets better and heals. So it is very therapeutic, and it does help as a great outlet for a lot of people.
I love that question. I think it is. I think music and sound in general just moves you, you know. The other day, I don't know, we were just coming off of a really stressful scene, and someone in the dressing room was playing the soundtrack to Edward Scissorhands, and it was like one of those songs. It was like, the atmosphere of what that song created was such a healing spot to just like be able to rest in before we went back and did it again. It's like playing, Rainfall or classical to help you sleep. It's like music just has a way of pulling your entire body into like this trance for this moment, good or bad. When we get those playlists, there's a great Spotify playlist called like classical music to make me feel like an old villain, and it's like it's super dramatic. It's all like it's the sound it's all like, what do you call those, like half tones or whatever they are. Anyways. But so does music help? Hell yeah. Yeah, music gets you through a good day and a bad day.
Well, something else that kind of
Anytime.
gets you through good and bad days are friends. And Anna, maybe you
Yeah.
can kind of direct this, because you tell this story about something that we take for granted, and that is our childhood friends. That because they're just kind of there for convenience, sometimes they're the neighbor, they're somebody we go to school with. It's not until you get older you go, oh, well, the college friends are the meaningful ones. But when you look back at sometimes those childhood friends that help you get through some of the really difficult things in your life, how personal was that part of the story for you?
Um, so I don't know if I have like the lifelong best friend that I wrote
No,
for them.
no.
I know, sad. But I think like a lot of like my cousins, like we all were the same age, and obviously that's family, which is different. But something that I'm learning like right now as, someone who's about to turn 25 is that like when you have these relationships that have lasted this long, like there's a lot of work that goes into that, and there's a lot of understanding, and there's something so special when you have somebody in your life who has known you in different phases of who you've been. And I think for the movie and the characters, like it was cool that they saw each other through all these different phases, good and bad, but that they worked through it and they put in that time and investment. And I think that's something right now that it's a very, fast world. It's, you want the payoff very quickly. in most things, whether it's your phone or a job or whatever. And so I think there's something really special about having people that have been in your life for a very long time. And I think that was also what was cool about, and what made their relationship as characters even more legitimate, is in these moments when they hit almost breaking points, it was so loaded emotionally.
And I'm curious for Charlie and for Rain. There's that wonderful scene at the beginning of the movie where Mackenzie, her dad is teaching her guitar, and that's kind of this great bonding experience between parent and child. Looking back on your upbringing, what was a cool bonding experience that you had with one of your parents? Was there something that they taught you, that they took that extra time to kind of help you learn a specific skill set?
I would say for me, my mom always used to sing a song from Sister Act. And it was like, if you want to be somebody and you want to go somewhere, you better pay attention. So she would sing that to us to help us. Like, Charlie. Me and Charlie would sing on the set all the time. He'd always bring his guitar and it was a really fun time. But my mom would always sing that to us in terms of like, if you want to get where you want to, like, if you want to get someplace like important, or not important, but like achieve your dreams and achieve your goals, is you have to really try hard and need to pay attention to everything going on around you. Pay attention to the work that you're putting in. So that's one of the things my mom used to teach us about hard work and achieving your dreams. And that's something that I remember from my childhood very fondly.
Charlie?
I don't know. There's a helicopter taking off behind me, so it might get a little loud. Some of my parents taught me. Whenever we travel, I would split the family up in two, and some would go with our dad, some would go with mom. And when we go with our dad, we take the car and we road trip to wherever we were. So we had like a vehicle, and my mom wanted to take the plane or whatever. And I don't know if it's a skill, but I mean, because of that, I think I love, I quite enjoy, I think through that experience, I've learned to enjoy a lot more the journey than the destination of where we arrive. Because like, you know, even though you drive most of the day and just hang out in this like little box of a cube, just like, you know, chilling and listening to movies or reading books or something, reading books as if, sorry. I'm like, we'd watch movies or play video games in the backseat. There's no way in hell we were reading books. We should have. No, I'm not anybody watching this. Please go read a book. I'm reading books nowadays, you know, but back then when we were reading books, unless it was like something like our teacher was like, hey, you got to read. Which I'm not saying don't read books. I'm just saying I personally didn't read as many books, but I read a crap ton of scripts nowadays. So that counts as my book. Anyways, the question was, what did the parents teach you? And I don't know, my parents said, road trips. Road trips. They taught me how to drive. My dad taught me how to drive stick, which was very nice growing up. Exactly.
I'm impressed. I don't know how to do that.
I know a lot of, well, I mean, you know what? Did you know that like when you turn off your car, our brakes in our cars nowadays, like aren't even connected to the brakes. They're electric. So if your car's off, the brakes don't work. You're going to need to use your I was coming down the mountain the other day and I'm like, wow, I get all this gravity. Why am I using gas? So I turn off my car. Next thing you know, my brakes go out. And I'm like going down Mount Seymour in Vancouver and you can't turn your car on. So you have to pull anyways. I know it's a little off topic there, but
just be careful. What do you do?
I know, but I think that's so dangerous. We should have brakes in our cars. Always. It should always be connected to a brake.
Well, to put you back on topic, I'm just curious how competitive it got on set between the two of you. Who had better hair?
Definitely right.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You know.
I think we were both pretty popping with both of our hair. I think it was pretty sick.
Yeah, like you say, get on topic. The first thing is hair. It's beauty. It's a beauty statement. No, we had some good hair. I don't even know. I think I had shorter hair. I had like up to like here or something. Yeah, it was like first year cool. It was right when I started growing it. She's a lot longer now. Yeah. I think a lot more maintaining too. My goodness, long hair. I gotta say, a lot of brushing. Well, with that, Rain's hair always took longer on set.
than Charlie's, because especially because we were moving through eras, it was always like, well, how do we subtly indicate like both her age and the time? And so Rain would be in the chair a lot, and then Charlie could just come out and go, "Bleh," and it would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I forgot that we had to like change, especially with like hair and makeup, had to change how she was through different eras, especially if they were such distinct looks. It was a little longer in the chair. Completely forgot about it.
And a last question, which maybe all of you can kind of touch on. It's really interesting that I'm going to presume, because I wasn't there, that you all had to kind of step in at some point and be a cinematographer. That at some point, either you were holding a phone out at arm's length or something to kind of do that. So Anna, maybe you could start, is when you empower your actors to have to be the cinematographers as well, do you get a different perspective?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of my other pet peeves with found footage is when it's an iPhone shot, but it's so stable and kind of a weird distance. And you're like, that's not how videos look on my camera roll when I'm holding it. And so it's important to me to put the camera in their hand. But that was the question of like, is this going to compromise the performance if they have to think about how they're like holding the phone and all this stuff? And what we found once we got into it was that it was so natural and they were able to perform through the camera. And there were several scenes because they did it, and even a couple of our other actors would hold the camera at times, even when it's not on them. They're literally just holding it, filming each other. And so many amazing like improvised moments, or like the way that they would feel like drawn to move the camera. Because my question I always came back to was, what feels natural? Like, what would you do if you were filming your friend? Like, how would you do it? And that was always my guiding light. And so the way that these guys jumped in and were so down to do it, once we started watching the dailies, it was like there was no doubt in our mind, like, we have to keep putting the camera in their hand because it's giving it this additional element that we cannot replicate. And so it was really exciting. It was definitely difficult for my DP. I'll give him a shout out to release the control that way, but we were both of the same mindset of like whatever is going to get the most authentic look, like that's what we want.
And for the actors, how interesting was that to have to step in and participate in that way?
I had a great time doing it. I loved, like Anna said, being able to perform through the camera because you get to really live in the moment of what the scene is, because you are recording somebody else and you're interacting with them in the way of which you would when you're recording, instead of just having a one-on-one conversation. So I found it super fun to do.
And we did a little screening, us three, at my place, not like a couple months ago or something, and we got to watch it, and like having held the camera, for what it is, it's a movie based on like your photo history, right? Like if you open up someone's iPhoto app and then you scroll through a bunch of photos and you just clicked and left and you went through all the videos and you just watched them, that's essentially what this movie is. And getting to hold the camera actually made it feel more like it was our home videos than having someone and pretending to hold it. You know, that there was that when that would happen, that was more, there was a disconnect when that would happen. But when you held it, it was way more fun. We got to like run around and do all our stuff. We got to add our own little touch to how we would record ourselves, like where we would record, instead of always being perfect centered in a camera. Because like who the hell, like when you record your videos for Snapchat, like do you really care if you're perfectly, you know, that's if movie standards you would have to be. And when you watch the film, I think that it comes out like yeah, there's so many great moments between the two of them that is just like the relationship from that you could almost fill in the rest of the years before the movie and the rest of the years afterwards, because of who they are, how they became friends, why they're friends. And so they have this life together that you experience through that. But then when it gets into like a lot of the deeper stuff, with the characters, like and they're sending videos to each other for support, that those moments were, I mean, I don't even think we had anybody in the room for them. I think we were just left alone with the iPhone. Maybe like the sound was in the room, but I mean, it gets really like it's like watching someone's home videos of, you know, like of these like the most, probably the most intimate they've ever been with themselves, because it's almost like a diary, right? When you write down something, you can feel things and you can express things in ways that you can't normally do in a conversation, because sometimes the feeling like takes a little longer than how fast you're speaking. And so for when we come in, when we do these moments, and when you watch them as a third person, I feel like there's almost that uncomfortableness. When I watched it, it was almost like, oh my God, like, should I be watching this right now? Like this.
Oh boy, modern technology. Speaking of technology and doing all that, first of all, the three of you, I can't thank you enough. The film is called Love You Anyway. Rain, Charlie, and Anna, best of luck with this film. I think it's a fascinating creative leap, and hopefully people are going to be able to embrace this. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Scott.